up, YouTube? Fred here. Other than the Barrett-Jackson auction for the first production Corvette last night, the news cycle's been fairly quiet, so I'm going to resume with that next week. But today I want to talk about something that would really boost the Corvette program and bring it more in line with some of its rivals. And that is PTS, Paint to Sample. So what is Paint to Sample? We'll get into that in a second, but it's something that's offered by a lot of the contemporary rivals for Corvette. Audi has their exclusive program, BMW has their individual program, Aston Martin has the Q program, and probably the best known is Porsche Paint to Sample. Even Dodge offered the One of One program, which offered over 8,000 different paint colors to anybody who wanted to buy a Dodge Viper. So in general, Paint to Sample offers you two different paths. The first is to go with original colors, which are from the back catalog of cars that a manufacturer has already created. For example, Porsche offers a wide spectrum of all the different colors that they've offered for all their various models for the last 50 or so years. And then the other half of that is true Paint to Sample, meaning you would bring in a sample of whatever color you would like your car in, and then the manufacturer would go and match that color as closely as they can, adding various finishes like gloss, metallic, matte, that kind of thing. And then you could get the car painted in that color. So if you had a favorite watch, a favorite t-shirt, a favorite picture or color that you really like, you could get your car in exactly that color. So for example, Porsche's Paint to Sample program offers 160 original colors that go well back into their catalog. And in 2021, they expanded the program to go as far back as the Porsche 356, which is one of the very first cars that they made as a brand. So while many rivals offer Paint to Sample, Corvette doesn't as of yet. So as with anything, there are some pros and cons. One of the drawbacks of Paint to Sample is it can't protect you from yourself. Sure, everybody thinks they've got great judgment, and oh wow, I really love that color, so I'd love to get an electric lime yellow car. But in reality, a lot of the time when people pick colors, they may not actually think that a little swatch that looks good this size is going to look as good on a full-size car. And by the time you actually see the car in person, the choice has been made, you've paid your money, and it's too late. The next downside is that repairs can be pretty costly. Obviously, if you're paying for a color that is custom to your car, that means that it's not going to be on a lot of other cars. Dealerships won't be carrying the touch-up paint for it. So that can be a bit of a problem, and it can be expensive if you get a scratch or a chip or you need a repair. Another downside is that for any company that wants to offer this, you actually have to retool in the factory. As is pretty widely known right now, Corvette only offers 12 different colors. Now they may have expanded that a little bit up to 14 with the two 70th anniversary colors that were just unveiled last week. So I would imagine if they want to go to 100 additional colors or however big of a back catalog, that's going to require some sort of retooling, maybe an expanded inventory for all the components that make up the different paints. So there's definitely a cost at the factory level, but it's probably a one-time sunk cost and then additional cost for ongoing materials. And then the last downside is price. Obviously something that's fully custom is going to be expensive, and there's two tiers. For Porsche right now, using one of those 160 back catalog colors, you're going to pay between $11,000 and $13,000 for your car, depending on the finish, which color, and which model car that you've chosen. But if you want to go the fully custom route, let's say you have a pair of sneakers and you love the color and you want the car in that color, you're going to be paying between $23,000 and $26,000, depending on the model of the car, the finish that you've chosen, and how complex that paint is. So it's a pretty pricey option. Now obviously I wouldn't be suggesting to do a Paint to Sample program if I didn't think there were a lot of benefits for it. So the first benefit that I can think of is that Corvette has a rich heritage of great colors. All the way back to the C1 and the C2, some of the metallic colors are really, really great colors, and you haven't seen them on any of the newer Corvettes. Even my car, which is Admiral Blue Metallic, that's a heritage color. It harkens back to at least the C3. I've seen C2s in what looks similar, but I don't know if that's an original color or not. But it's awesome to pull some of that heritage, and Corvette's got a very rich history of that. There's a lot of colors in the back catalog, which I would love to see on some of the newer cars. The next advantage is that once you've done Paint to Sample with that manufacturer, they actually will now have a paint code, meaning even though it may be expensive, you can actually get touch-up paint or more paint if you needed a repair and have that for your car so you get a perfect match. So I think that's pretty good, meaning you don't have to worry as much other than the financial side if you needed a little bit of a touch-up. One of the big benefits is the limited nature of Paint to Sample. For all my jorts-loving friends, Just kidding, love you guys. This gives you an opportunity to have a car that truly is a one of one, or at least a very limited car. If you're picking from heritage colors, chances are there's somebody else who would eventually pick the same color for the car, but they may not have the same options as you, or it might be a different generation car. So even without going fully custom, you could end up with a car that is essentially a one of one. And then obviously if you went fully custom, you now have a pretty unique car. So another advantage here could be price. Traditionally, a lot of the paint to sample cars for a company like Porsche are on some of their more expensive models, something where somebody's already spending a lot of money, and so an additional 20K is probably not that big of a deal to them. But Corvette, where they're doing a much higher volume for the C8, for the C8 Z06, it actually could give them an opportunity to figure out a way to do it at a more affordable price, and then they can pass that along to the buyer so that you're only spending, let's say, $7,000 for a heritage color, or maybe $17,000 for a full custom, which is significantly less than what a lot of the rivals do offer. Chevy's doing enough volume, I feel like there would be an opportunity for them to optimize for that, and then actually have an advantage to offer something like PTS at a price that's lower than what other manufacturers currently do. And then the last big advantage here is profit. There's something for everybody here. Buyers are going to be able to get a color that's unique to their car, or a color that stands out to them as maybe something they remember from an earlier car that maybe their parents had. And on the company side, GM is going to be able to make significant money off this option. There's obviously going to be some upfront costs, but after you've paid that, it actually is one of those things that you've already got the tooling, and other than raw materials and probably some training, you end up probably making back your money, and then everything else after that is probably a significant margin. So it seems like everybody could win here. So in summary, if you've ever taken a look at the landscape of Corvettes, and especially used Corvettes, sellers are very interested in saying how rare their car is. This is a rare car, this is uncommon. You'll see that all the time on every listing out there. Everybody's looking for how does their car stand apart from everything else. So I tend to think this is a little bit overblown. There are a lot of yellow Corvettes out there, and there are a lot of Corvettes with a red interior. There are probably not too many Corvettes that have a yellow exterior and a red interior, giving them the nickname of the ketchup and mustard cars. And that's probably for good reason. Joking aside, I do think this is something that as Corvette moves further and further up market, and the cars that they're being compared against continue to be higher and higher spec cars, I think this is naturally something that Corvette should head towards at some point. I think there's a wonderful back catalog of colors. Some of the blues, some of the metallics, some of the reds are just fantastic colors, and I would really love to see those on some of the more modern takes of the car. I think it's an area that would benefit all parties, and I think it would increase the prestige of the brand. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. That really helps me out. I'm going to be doing a lot of C8 Z06 content going forward. So thank you for watching, and until next time, Fred out!